I have no tale of how these games saved me from depression. No story of how it kept me afloat during a parent's death. No chronicle of how it inspired me to create this channel. But I do have one tale. One of me finding my favorite boss in the Dark Souls trilogy, and with it coming to appreciate the mechanics just a little more. At the end of the Ring City DLC, we stand upon the ashes of worlds past. In the distance, we see ruins of once great civilizations, choked in dust and ash. Walking through the desolate wastes, we find something rather furtive crawling towards us, moaning about the Red Hood.
The Red Hood is come to eat us, to eat our dark souls.
We follow his trail, finding a circle of thrones, with the bodies of several pygmies torn to shreds and scattered in the surrounding area. Then, the cutscene starts, and we see this Red Hood, the man we fought alongside time and time again. The man who guided us here, with tatters of his red cloak, gorging himself on the dried up blood of the pygmies. And as he turns, he gives us a demand.
What? Still here? Hand it over, that thing, your dark soul. For my lady's painting.
Before throwing a corpse at us and lunging towards us like a wild animal. Wide, sweeping strikes with his battered, bent, and near broken blade. As the fight goes on, back and forth, soot and ash are kicked up. Each strike, a splash of dark, brackish blood is left upon the ground. Back and forth, the dance continues, slipping through strikes, retaliating with our own, defending ourselves from some, and all of this against someone we once stood side by side with, against demons and nuns. And as we land another blow, we bring him down to 2/3 of his health. He stumbles, his blade breaking, and the dark ichor drips onto his blade before he rises again, his senses regained, empowered by the blood of the dark soul.
Is this the blood? The blood of the dark soul.
The fight rages on. The wild, animalistic strikes have changed. Now, each is filled with a purpose. Each has a renewed sense of self. Each swing is followed by a sweep of his cloak, catching sloppy rolls in its grasp. In his arsenal, we find a repeating crossbow that, while easy enough to dodge and fairly well telegraphed, can obliterate an unaware Ashen One, making us have to be quick on our feet and stay aggressive, seeming to be a massive theme with combat of this game. And then finally, we have a spell. A spell dating all the way back to the first Age of Fire. One that is scarcely seen amongst these crumbling ruins, and even less so among this crumbling age. The fight has changed. No longer a reckless brawl, but now a dance. Back and forth across the sands, back and forth across the ashes, each strike seeming to flow directly into the next, back and forth and back again. Then we hit half health and enter another phase. Something that appears to be souls explode out of Gael, his cloak lashing out at us as he starts flying across the arena. The faded crimson cloak lifting him up as if it were wings, lightning striking the ground around us as if nature itself was bearing witness to this fight. It rages on down below upon the ash as the storm does in kind. We trade blows, expelling the host of souls, flitting around the fields, cloak lashing at us, until finally we bring our blade down upon him. The blade of a long-lost hero who fell into the abyss and lost himself within it, all in an attempt to save the world as he knew it. We bring the blade down and snuff out the soul of our guide, our brothers in arms, bearer of the dark soul. A dark soul long ago, claimed by someone so easily forgotten. But as Gael falls, let us look at his armor, broken and tattered, as if he fought from the very moment you touched the egg of Filianor until this moment, damn near losing himself in the process. You can see the armor was once very fine, symbols being embossed upon it, now long rusted and faded. From the center, we see a hole has been punched through, a massive divot where his heart once was, and the internal pieces of the armor seem to be bent outwards, as if whatever caused such breakage came from within. Now we see his sword, so battered that it fully breaks come the second phase. Later we can claim this with his soul, and it is a fine weapon. Once more, a memory of an age long past, the memory of a slave knight whose will was not quite his own, but the will of one who found meaning, hope even, in service to a young painter, secluded far away in a dark, cold, and rotting painting. And finally, we have his red hood, referenced in a song, and this red hood was used to guide our way through the Ring City, with pieces of it torn off and pinned to structures to show us our way, a gift of guidance, something so strange in this world of gray, a splash of color, now faded slightly, of an era long since past, and something else alluding to his grand age is the spell he uses, a variation of the Way of White Corona, created during the first age of fire, back when the four souls were first claimed, back when Gwyn first took the throne. We've seen him fight, side by side with us. We know how powerful of a warrior he is. And yet, as many before, we see him fall, the same as any other prey sent before us for the slaughter. And yet, he willingly took on this task, to claim this blood of the dark soul, all for the chance to let someone create something far better, a cold, dark, and gentle world, one that will bear our name, though we will not live to see it. And thus, in the ashes of worlds past, we light a final bonfire and make a vow to cast this world past the Age of Fire. We have seen all that it does to those seeking to reignite the flame. And we swear this vow upon the blood of the Dark Soul. The Age of Fire shall be no more. And we shall surrender ourselves to hope. Hope that whatever age should come without us will be far better, kinder, and gentler for all those who inhabit it. Moving beyond this story that I stitched together from pieces of my own headcanon and interpretations of incidents within the game, let's go to something that's a bit more concrete: the combat. Each strike is predictable. You might be caught off guard at first, but as soon as you learn which strike does what, you will be able to dodge, or you'll know which to tank. This is the epitome of hard but fair. There is no lifesteal mechanic. There is no excessive movement. Every movement has a purpose. Every attack is telegraphed. Even for some of the attacks that have a rather quick spin-up, such as the crossbow, you are still able to get out of the way most of the time. And even if you are hit by one of the first few bolts, odds are you'll be able to get out of the way of the rest. Way of White Corona has a bit of a different story. It is, again, very easy to figure out. You just need to adjust your positioning, as it will always come back to Gael, and more often than not, will catch you on the way back. It is still very predictable. Nothing in this fight is not telegraphed. The lightning bolts have white glowing spots in the ground. The cloak has a set range, and it can be dodged consistently if you know what you are doing. Everything about this fight, in a mechanical sense, is well put together, well scripted, and feels perfect when you are able to get a complete dodge with some of his more flailing attacks, each of which, again, has an exact pattern that it follows. And this, in terms of mechanics, is why I believe it is one of, if not the greatest fight in the Dark Souls trilogy. Thank you all so much for watching. This is far, far outside my normal wheelhouse. If this is coming out when it should have its first episode coming out Wednesday, October 2nd. I've recorded ahead, and so far, I'm attempting to get my feet back under me. So, hopefully, it isn't too painful for you all to watch. Once more, thank you all so much for watching. Please leave your thoughts down below on this video. Like I said, it's not something I normally do, and I have been planning on doing something similar with the character I'm currently playing in my Cyberpunk game. And with it, trying to figure out how I would want to do it. And something similar to this might end up coming out, but we will have to see. So, if you have any thoughts on that, again, please leave them down below. And let me know if there's any other games you want me to talk about and cover next. So, until next time, I'm Sven, and this is Elven Prince, signing out.